Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a television series review. This television series is a horror series from Norway, Norwegian language English subs, released in the year 2020, directed by Kjetil Ingregard and Atle Knudsen, and this series is called Bloodride. So Bloodride is about a bus driver. He's a very menacing bus driver, and the passengers on this bus are the characters that the stories are going to be told. So you have one story about a woman who makes a wish at a Viking rune, which has devastating consequences. You have three brothers who decide to go out to a cabin one day, and then ultimately things happen. You have a woman who is going to a new school that had been shut for 40 years, but then she realises what is behind this school. And you also have a work party that gets way out of control, and some revelations are made that are actually quite ghastly. And so all their stories integrate within this bus, and the stories are told in a way that is definitely going to please a lot of horror anthology fans. So how each story unfolds, something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Bloodride. This is a tidy little horror anthology series. If you are a horror anthology fan like The Twilight Zone, you're definitely going to like what Bloodride brings to the table. I will say that it is quite predictable, so that's something I'll go into a little bit later. It's not a brilliant horror anthology, but it was definitely entertaining. As I said, it was very tidy. It wasn't brilliant, but it was competent at what it did. The stories, I thought, all mingled in very well. There are some stories that are better than other stories, but unlike many horror anthologies, there wasn't really a weak story in there. And so I thought as though it was a lot of fun. I thought there was quite nasty in some instances with the gore and the blood, and I thought, all right, well, that was a welcome addition. And I thought the characters and the acting was actually very competent. The cinematography was excellent, and I really like the idea of this bus. It was almost like this bus was a journey to hell, and these characters had to come to terms with what they've done in their particular story and come to realization of what their new reality is. And I thought that was very creepy. Just the way that the driver looked at each passenger through the mirror, I thought, all right, well, this is definitely a fun type of horror experience. And so I thought as though the cinematography was excellent. It actually felt like a very creepy experience. And so the tone was very, very consistent. Although there are very different stories with very different identities, I still thought as though I was watching the same series. And that's ultimately what you need. If you have a different feel to each story, then it can become very disjointed and inconsistent. But I thought the consistency was very, very good. And so there's only 30 minutes in length. There's only 6 episodes, and so it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's very fast in what it does. I thought as though the directors demonstrated a very high capability as far as telling short stories, in that they establish characters, they establish a situation, and they give you a conclusion. And you don't feel like you need to know more. So a lot of these other horror anthologies, I always feel as though there are some instances where I want to see that story being made into a feature film, because I feel as though they haven't exhausted all the possibilities. But these directors and the writing that this horror anthology has, I thought as though they really ticked all the boxes and tied up all the loose ends, and so I didn't really need to know more. So I thought as though the overall piece actually really worked. And so it is definitely a journey into hell, and you're going on this bus, on this ride with these unfortunate people who succumb to the consequences that each faces in each story. And so, as I said, if you are a fan of horror anthology, definitely for you. The cinematography is excellent. It's very well written, very well acted, and the competency in the cinematography is apparent. So it's definitely a tidy little experience. But the reason why it's tidy is because it's nothing brilliant, and the reason it's not brilliant is because ultimately it's very predictable. These stories have been told before, just in different ways, and so I thought as though the core aspect of each story was something that I could predict, and unfortunately I could lessen the impact as far as the reveal was concerned. So you're bracing for impact instead of actually being shocked by what's going on. But as I said, it only goes for 30 minutes, so I thought as though it was interesting in what they were trying to do. It appears that the production had a lot of fun actually making this series, and I definitely think the viewers out there are going to have a lot of fun watching it. And so if you're not into this kind of thing, as I said, 30 minutes is not much, not a lot of time to really put up with. And so it doesn't have glaring negatives, because it doesn't allow the stories to really focus on the negatives, because it's over before you know it. So it's a quick experience. I thought it was a very good experience, and it's definitely a horror anthology that I wouldn't run out there to see as soon as possible. But if you come across it late one evening on television, there are definitely worse ways to spend your time. So overall for Bloodride, nothing brilliant, but very tidy. I'm going to give this series 3 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.